The Devils came to Los Angeles hoping to end a 2-game losing streak, and they did just that as they beat the LA Kings by a score of 4-1. Chico Resch, there were some anxious moments in the third period when LA started to push. They got on the board. But essentially, from start to finish, this was a Devils night.
It really was, Matty. I'm not saying 60 minutes of letter-perfect hockey, but come on. There weren't many glitches in the Devils game tonight, even when they scored LA to make it 3-1 and got a little push going, but Devils just didn't break down. Oh, they covered in front of the net. They were great on rebounds, picking up the right man or letting Markey get to it, and then Markey's catching. I got to ask him, how many glove saves did he make tonight? A lot of times those go into rebounds, not tonight. And so, yeah, everybody, how many times have we said it? When they lose, they lost as a team, and when they win as a team. And right now, they got to feel pretty good in that room.
Devils with the 4-1 win, and we talked about it on the pregame show, unlike the last 2 games. And really, there have been a number of times this year where the Devils not only have given up the first goal, but given up an early first goal. They did that particularly in the last 2 games where the opponent was on top before the game was a minute and a half old. Less than a minute into the game against San Jose, the Devils were down. But tonight they came out and they were much better. The coverage was better, and yeah, again, there were moments, but it was good to see them jump out to that lead.
Well, they were the ones that jumped out to the 1-0 lead where they had given them up in the last 2 games, and they win. And especially when you got 2 defensive teams, like if you got 2 highly powered offensive teams, giving up the first goal doesn't matter. But the Devils are built on their defense, and the Kings aren't a high-scoring offensive team. So when the Devils got ahead, they knew what they had to do. And then, you know, a goal by Hallinan, Kemper should have had it. Then another goal, a shorthanded goal by Mercer. Not that it wasn't a good shot, but the Devils just found a way, Matty, to score. And I give everybody credit, including the coaching staff who had the drills yesterday in practice that sort of complimented or encouraged that, and tonight they came out and did it.
And the Devils record their 9th win of the season. Let's check out the highlights as we await a Devils player. And the Devils did jump out on top, and it was the captain, Nico Hischier, who got things going. New look to the Devils lines. Arseny Gritsuk out there with Nico Hischier and Andre Palat. Here's Luke Hughes with a shot. They score! And it's Nico Hischier with the tip in front. Let's see, they changed the lines. They changed the defense pairing. That guy on his offside, Luke Hughes, fires it home, and it's 1-0. Fires it toward the front of the net more accurately, and it was Nico Hischier with the redirect, and that goal came early in the game, a minute 22 in. And so, you know, Sheldon Keefe didn't make a lot of changes. Some he had to because of injuries, Connor Brown not playing. Some he did because he just wanted to see what he could do by sending a little bit of a message.
Well, and then you don't know how it's going to play out, but it's just interesting that Luke Hughes playing on the right side, and remember what Coach said? He said that they wanted to do that, to play Luke on his off wing. He said because we coaches think there are some good offensive things can be provided there on that off wing, and that certainly is the case.
Jacob Markstrom gave up 8 goals in his last start against Colorado. In Los Angeles, he faces 44 shots and gives up just 1. But there were golden opportunities for the LA Kings, but Markstrom was a strong presence in goal. Cross ice, Anderson with a drive pad save made. And now it's Dillon sweeping it back behind the net. But it's taken there by the Kings. They flip it in front. Saved by Markstrom as Danault was robbed. And that was a golden opportunity for Danault, who doesn't have a goal this year, but
yeah, that helps. but it's a play where the puck's going from, if you're looking at the net, from the right to the left, so it's got to be a push, a very accurate push by Markstrom to make sure his body's in position. And you know what about that save, Manny, not only was it good, But it looked like, no, that's not a big deal. You're not scoring. And he looked like that most of the night.
He did, no question. It was by far his best performance of the season. And the Devils had a 1-0 lead going into the second. And early on, they were able to extend that lead. We'll call this the play of the game, brought to you by Prudential, the Devils' official financial services partner. Down low, Hallinan with a drive, and he scores his first National Hockey League goal. Brian Hallinan with a big smile on his face, and the Devils lead 2-0. Just has fought and clawed for everything he's gotten in hockey.
Absolutely. And he doesn't get discouraged. I mean, that's the thing, Matty. When you're not given anything, like he's not, you can't get discouraged. Got to keep pushing on, and you keep thinking, well, it's going to turn around at some point, and it has in his career. And maybe tonight is that moment where he'll look back and say, getting that first one just made me feel like I belong in this league, and I'm going for it. 27 goals last year for Utica. That was his first National Hockey League goal. Luke Glendening and Dennis Jaloski, who came in the lineup tonight in place of Seamus Casey, was a healthy scratch, picks up the secondary assist, and the Devils had a 2-0 lead. Later on in the period, Jacob Markstrom helped make that stand up with this stop on Kevin Fiala. Luke Hughes has the puck stripped from behind. There's a broken stick on the ice. That slowed Luke down. Now here's Fiala, makes a move, cuts in front, save made by Markstrom. He actually batted a cross-ice pass away. Got that stick down on the ice, and that disrupted things. Well, you know what, Matt? Sometimes intercepting a pass for the goalie, especially in the crease area, is every bit as good as making a big save, and that's exactly what Markstrom did there.
Devils took 4 penalties against Los Angeles. They were perfect 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. More than that, they were able to score while shorthanded at 1:10 of the third. So now this game is just 2-0, and LA is going on a power play. Now, they came in having gone 0 for 11 in their last 4, and they're now 0 for 15 in their last 5. But still, the man advantage. This is a new game if things turn out a little differently with a power play goal. Instead, it was Dawson Mercer with a shorty. Now to Danault in the right wing circle. Snapper blocked by Siegenthaler, who pokes it up ahead, and here comes Dawson Mercer. It'll be a 2-on-1 for the Devils if they hurry. Mercer and Hischier. Mercer wires it home. A snapper from the far circle. A short-handed goal for the New Jersey Devils. Dawson Mercer stays hot, and the Devils are up by 3. Well, he had come in with 3 goals in his last 2 games, make it 4 goals in his last 3 games. The shorthanded goal coming at 3:09, and that made it 3-0.
Well, you described it as he wired it, and that was accurate. Like, he got a lot of wood on that, well placed. I mean, obviously Kemper would have liked to have stopped it, but it wasn't like it was just an average shot, and Mercer has done that a number of times.
Well, and you have pointed out that one thing that he's added to his arsenal this year is that kind of shot, going top shelf.
Yes.
And he looks stronger. He almost looks like, and he would say it's not true, but I think he came this year saying, 16 goals last year, not enough.
It isn't, man, and it's not the velocity. Let's not get into he's shooting the puck harder and why he's scoring. He's shooting the puck more accurately. And I know if you get it up where he did, off that neck area and head, it's a long way to go with that glove to get it. And that's where he put it, and
So the 7th goal of the season for Dawson Mercer at 3:09 makes it 3-0. Andrei Kuzmenko would score his 3rd goal of the season at 9:49 of the period, and that gave some life to Los Angeles. And to their credit, they did press the attack, but in the end, they came up just short as the Devils held on to a 4-1 win. We'll have more highlights in a moment, but first, let's go downstairs to Brian Hallinan, who joins us outside the Devils dressing room. Brian, it's Matt and Chico. Thanks very much for your time. And congratulations, young man, on that first National Hockey League goal. You must just be swimming in beautiful thoughts right now.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, it's something I've been been waiting for, I guess, and I'm glad it happened tonight. Winning effort, and just hoping to keep putting some wins on the board.
It's a game-winning goal, too. That's always nice, right? Not only your first, but a game winner. But Brian, it was really a nicely executed play with some nice passes. Tell me what you're thinking as the puck is coming to you on the pass. What's your thought process here?
Obviously, I was kind of in tight and just trying to get the puck on goal. And, I guess the way goalies play nowadays, sometimes there's that little space, below the glove and right above the skate. I guess just talking to goalie coaches in the past, that's kind of what their advice is in some of those positions. So I guess just kind of take that and try to apply it there.
Well, you shot it inside. I think I watched Kemper. I think you got it away quicker than he anticipated. And before he could get to the post, it was by him. Because, Brad, I want to also say, you went around the net, and there was some dead silence. Or I don't know if people didn't know it was in. What were you thinking?
I guess I wasn't, I had a hunch it went in, I guess. But, I didn't want to celebrate if it didn't go in. So I was just making sure it went in before I did any kind of celebration.
Well, smart play on your part, and we've discussed it oft times on the air here, but if you could tell our listeners who may not be aware, just go through your development as a player, because it's not like you were a star coming out of high school, not like you were highly recruited. You signed as you were signed as a free agent coming out of college. It's just what keeps you going through all of this.
Obviously, you just gotta have a love for the game, and and just the burning desire to always get better. I would say I would totally agree that my development path has been a long and slow journey, but I guess as long as you keep stacking good days and good weeks and good months, and I guess you can kind of build something. And I guess looking back, I guess I wasn't coming out of high school. I was somewhat recruited, but not not by the big schools, you might say, like like the guys that are on the path to the NHL. But I guess that was huge in my development, because I was able to go to a school in Michigan Tech that gave me everything I had to improve in my game, and all the facilities to they had everything you'd ever dream of to get better as a hockey player. And on top of that, I was able to play a lot and play in a lot of different roles where I was able to develop all my my whole game, and I guess just get it to a point where after 4 years, well, then I had an opportunity to turn pro with the Devils, and that my time at Michigan Tech was paramount to my development. And I don't know if I get that if I go to a what you might call a blue blood school and play a very limited role. So I guess just for kids out there, going to the the biggest name or the the most prominent school, at least for me, it wasn't the right path. And I'm super thankful, very fortunate for everything Michigan Tech offered to me, and I'll forever be grateful for them.
Well, Brian, what I like is for young kids, you can play hard. You can, you can practice hard. But if you don't start getting the puck in the net, you're never going to make it, whoever you are at any level. And I thought a couple games ago you had a really nice short side chance, didn't score. But is your ability to try to figure out how to score goals a big part of how you also have gotten better? You got to do all the hard work, but you also have to put some pucks in the net.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, if there's one thing that's been something that has always taken time for me to every time I go up a level, it's kind of always taken me a little bit to adjust and kind of round out all the parts of my game. And here I my role isn't so much as just to score goals. I'm just trying to be a positive force on the ice to tilt the momentum, have offensive zone shifts, all those kind of things. And of course, depth scoring is very important, and I'm glad I was able to contribute tonight. But I just trying to do all parts of the game, and yeah, just contribute when you can, when you get the opportunities.
Well, you've done that and more, and tonight your first National Hockey League goal. Congratulations on that. We look to your continued improvement and contributions, and thanks very much for your time.
Hey, thanks, Matt and Chico.
Brian Hallinan, and I know I waited till he left to say this because I know he's a humble guy and wouldn't say it, but a lot of those guys who were recruited ahead of him went to the bigger factories, the blue blood schools. A bunch of them aren't even playing, not even getting a chance.
No, a lot of first rounders don't make it. No, you're right, Matty. It's something about being in an environment where you're thinking, I can get better. It's not in the greatest environment, but you see it all the time. Like, work on your goal scoring. Like, he got the game-winning goal tonight, and you could say, I just want to be a positive influence, which he is. Is there any bigger positive influence than scoring the game-winning goal? No. So, good for Brian.
And helping the Devils to the 4-1 victory, we left the highlights with Dawson Mercer scoring the shorthanded goal. Well, he wasn't done. Late in the game, the Devils down a man, Dougie Hamilton off, and Dawson Mercer found that open net again. Minute 33 to go in the Devils' penalty kill. 3:53 remaining in the third. Loose puck. Markstrom settles it nicely, and Mercer fires it toward an empty net and scores. LA had brought an extra skater on, and Mercer with his second shorthanded goal of the game, and Jacob Markstrom will pick up the primary assist, and it's 4-1. And that was the final score. Markstrom picks up the win. Second time in Devils history that two shorthanded goals were scored by the same guy in a game. Alexander Seamak, the only previous one. Dawson Mercer joins his company, and Dawson Mercer off to the best start in his career.
Oh, that's great news, Matty. He was the one guy we all thought of over the summer. If the Devils are going to move up, he's got to be part of that upward mobility movement, and he certainly has to start this season.
A big night it was as well for Jacob Markstrom. Here's what he had to say after the game.
I mean, Marky, just overall, just a great team win here tonight for a rebound. I mean,
everyone out there did a good job, and sacrificed himself, and penalty kill came up huge, and baseball.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a great team win today. Great team effort. They made my job easy of boxing out and blocking shots and clearing out rebounds. So it was it was perfect to run out there for our deep core and our forwards blocking shots.
And really, you talk about that full effort, especially on that PK. I mean, for Merce to get those two short-handed.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's huge for us. Obviously, we had a little dip in Colorado, and you got to answer back. And I thought the penalty kill did that today. And it's a huge goal, the first one, and the second one as well to seal it.
They really, LA really did sort of have this push in the third period where you were sort of constantly under attack there. But you're talking about that defensive structure; those things is really dialed in.
Yeah, we did a great job protecting the house and clearing out any rebounds. And the shoot locked on the point with traffic, and I saw most of the pucks out there today, so it was it was a great job. Hats off to them.
For you personally, the way the last 40-some hours have gone, I imagine you have to be sky high right now.
No, after the game is huge. I mean, obviously you want to give back to appreciate to the Blitzer family and Fitzy and the management. They believe in me, and you want to repay that, and especially after the last game in Colorado wasn't a good one, so to just park that and then move forward and get a win tonight, that was huge.
You ever been in a scenario like that where another game for another sport's on, and the whole arena is kind of focused on that.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, once in a while, football playoff, baseball playoff, so it's just part of it. The fans were loud, so it's good.
Thanks, Marky.
Jacob Markstrom, following the victory that the Devils recorded over Los Angeles, 4-1 is the final score. And what a 2-day period for Jacob Markstrom, signing the 2-year extension, and then I would say maybe more importantly, he backstopped his team to a win. He knew the money was coming. The contract was going to be signed. It just happened to be yesterday. But
I just wish they had asked him about the glove. Don't get me wrong, Matty. I'm not trying to be an know-it-all, but I don't think people realize that glove tonight. That thing was snapping and moving, and I don't think he dropped one puck. He didn't have one puck go into his glove and pop out. That's amazing. And that maybe it tells you how much of the zone he was in.
Jacob Markstrom picks up the victory, his third of the season. Devils end a 2-game losing streak. The final thoughts of the night belong to the head coach, Sheldon Keefe.
Congratulations on the win. This was really a gutsy effort. There's so many positives here. Maybe just start with Marky's performance tonight.
Yeah, he was great. We weren't at our best, and we're getting outplayed at different times in really each period. But he was dialed in today. He was solid, tracking pucks. I thought our guys did a pretty nice job of. Not giving up the big, huge chance, but there's lots of activity, lots of pucks flying around through a lot of traffic and such. So, yeah, Marky was outstanding today. So, really happy for him.
In the postgame in San Jose, you said you weren't happy with your team's overall effort from start to finish. How would you assess their effort here tonight?
Well, the effort was good. I thought we competed hard today. There's parts of the game, especially in that second period, I didn't like how we managed it, especially after the point in time we made it 2-0 from then on. There's lots I don't like in terms of how we manage the puck and manage the game, but the effort, the competitiveness, guys blocked a lot of shots here tonight, did simple things really well. And, third period, I thought we managed that really well. And then probably the biggest thing is, I think where were the power plays 4-0 here today. And that could have been a major factor. We got the kills. Not only that, you get a shorthanded goal. So, and an empty net goal with the late call. So all these things that our guys had to be resilient, all that leads to a good road win.
Every game, there's all these little moments. But what about someone like Brian Hallinan getting that first? He's a guy who comes in and out of the lineup, works incredibly hard.
Yeah, you're happy for him. Anytime someone can get their first NHL goal, it's great, and to do it in a win, even better. Happy for him. He's done a good job since he's been here. I know he's come out of the lineup for us on this trip, but coming back in, he's worked hard, and to me, he's just he's getting his footing and getting comfortable in the NHL, and now just got goal off. Got that off the list. You help him relax a little bit more, but that's what you kind of need. A little bit of everything from everyone, and everyone has their moments, and it's great for Halo to have his today.
What are you seeing from Dawson Mercer right now offensively that maybe is allowing the puck to go in for him the way it has? I know one was an empty net.
Yeah, I think confidence probably is a big factor. When the puck goes in for you early in the season, you can start to feel it. I think there's that 3 empty netters maybe he has now, and that comes from a good process and being on a good team that's in a situation for the other team to pull their goalie, but he's a trusted guy to be out there, and just the puck's gone in, a lot for him in different ways this season, and that helps confidence. So that can go a long way for any player.
And then certainly a big difference here than the previous 2 games is not chasing the game early, and how that kind of sets the tone differently for this group.
Massive. I mean, we talked about it. The previous 2 games, you're down before you even get comfortable in the game. Before a lot of guys have even had their first shift, you're down. And it can't be understated, and it's hard to really get your finger on what sort of impact that has on the game as a whole and the mindset. And we're far better playing from in front. Everybody is, and that's I liked it. I liked how we managed that situation here today. All those situations I talked about with from marquee to special teams and penalty killing, and we got the lines a little more consistent in the second half of the game once we had that lead. That it's allowed us to kind of manage it and take care of it.
You mentioned the penalty kill being a big piece to today's win. You talked about it in Colorado, Brett Pesce being a big missing piece in that core, and then you lose Connor Brown here tonight, who also plays a lot of shorthanded minutes. How are you seeing everybody band together and be strong in that area?
Yeah, like I said, I think the guy stepped up well here today. I thought Luke Hughes, he did a really nice job over on that right side on the penalty kill specifically. So that really helped. And, the guys stepped up. It got real tough there when Nico took the penalty. So now you're down Nico in addition to Brownie on the kill. But, Lamico goes out there for a little bit and does a good job. Different guys stepping up in those spots. So, it's good. Listen, we're down players. Man, you got to pick up the slack and find different ways. Today, obviously, we kind of moved the lines around and double shifted Jack and Nico and Bratter a little bit to kind of, round out our top three lines a little bit and give them some different looks. To try to get a hold of the game early, and that kind of worked in our favor too. So there's just little things that all added up to a good road win.
Can't anybody get distracted by the World Series in that third period?
Me. Yeah. I think everyone was. It got so loud. I think why it's loud. Yeah, but it got pretty tricky there trying to call lines, and guys aren't quite focused. And luckily, our goaltender stayed dialed in through that.
Sheldon Keefe, Canadian, hoping that the Blue Jays would win Game 7 as we finish this up. They trail 5-4 in the top of the 11th. Will Smith with a tie-breaking home run. But at any rate, he'll worry about baseball later on. He's happy about his team's victory tonight over the LA Kings.
And, I just wish they had talked about, someone would ask about Dennis Zalewski. I don't want us to overlook someone who's worked so hard, comes in the game, Maddie, and you mentioned it, when he stopped that goal early in the game from going, it would have made it 1-1, but that was huge. And then he made some other plays. I get it's the same guys I know that you're leaning on most of the time, but Hallinan tonight, Zalewski, let's give them their dues when they come up and play like this. And so he's another one for me that I was very, very happy for, and I would think that's going to keep him in the lineup.
And we will have that answer, of course, when the Devils take on the Anaheim Ducks to wrap up this road trip, a game you'll hear on the Devils Hockey Network.